Hi, my name is Jennifer Forbes, owner of Forbes Fabulous Fingers, independent consultant with Jamberry Nails. I've decided to start a web series where I show you how to further customize your Jamberry manicure, or Jamacure, in order to meet your needs and basically make anything that you see on Pinterest apply to Jamberries. But I figured before I could get into any of the specific advanced techniques, I should probably show you how I personally apply my Jamacure. Now, we have a great application video on our website, and I've linked my website below. However, this combines the techniques shown in that video with some other tips and tricks that I've seen around the internet in the year that I've been selling and wearing Jamberries. And the last time I used this method, I actually kept my nails on for over 20 days before they started peeling. So I thought I'd share all of my tips and tricks with you, and yes, you can find all of these individually on different places around the internet, but I've combined them all into one video so that I can better serve you. First, we're going to talk about the tools we'll need. I'll be using the tools that come out of the Jamberry application kit that's available on my website. However, you can use any tools that you find at Walmart or whatever. If you are missing several, getting a Jamberry application kit is probably the least expensive way to obtain all of these. I'll be using the buffer block, the file, one of the 2 orange sticks, the scissors, and the cuticle pusher. Now, your application kit also comes with a nail clipper, but we won't be using it today. I've also added a set of tweezers to my set, and we'll get to why that is in just a second. You're also going to need something to clean your nails. I use pure acetone, and there's a reason that I use pure acetone. I have very, very oily nail beds, and I realized early on in my Jamberry experience that if I didn't use something stronger than rubbing alcohol, my Jamacures weren't going to last more than about 10 days. Acetone dries out my nail beds enough to make sure that the oils don't seep through and ruin my Jamacure early. However, if you don't have very oily nail beds, or you're concerned about the toxicity of acetone, I recommend that you use 70% isopropyl alcohol, or you can even use white vinegar. I don't have any actual experience with white vinegar because, as I said, I have really oily nail beds, but I've seen it all over the internet being used with great success. The last thing you're going to need is a heat source. Today I'm going to be using the Jamberry mini heater, which is a silent way to put on your Jamacure. However, you can be using anything that produces heat. I've done them with my hair dryer. I've actually applied samples with a flat iron. I've seen people on the internet who use clothes irons, who have done it by candle heat, who have done it with their car heaters right before a party. And so pretty much anything that produces about the same amount of heat as a hair dryer will be acceptable to use. So let's get right to it. So I actually think the most important part of your Jamberry manicure or your Jamacure is to actually start with the best, cleanest nails that you can. I've already gone through, I've filed my nails, I've cleaned under them, I've pushed my cuticles back, but I want to give you a couple of tips to get started. The first tip is that you should always only file your nails in one direction, like this. If you file back and forth, it weakens the structure of your nail and you won't get, really healthy nails. The second thing is that I did a lot of research on cuticles and found that pushing back your cuticles can actually be quite healthy if it's done correctly. I recommend that if you have really long cuticles, that kind of extend up onto the nail like this, that you go take a shower and push them back with a washcloth, or soak your hands in a bowl of warm water with a squirt of lotion so that they soften up. And then you can push them back with your neat little cuticle presser right here and push them back. The other thing I want to mention is that I know that I have freakishly short nails, and that allows me to actually use my Jamberries a little more often than others. I can reuse them over and over because I have freakishly short nails. I have naturally short nail beds, and I'm a recovering nail biter, 1 year clean, and my nails are just now starting to recover from having bitten them for approximately 29 years, or since I developed teeth approximately. So the first thing I do once my nails are clean is I use my acetone. Again, you can use any kind of drying substance that you like. It depends on your preference. But the reason I like acetone, and I hope I can show you here, you can see that my nail is kind of shiny here, and then once I rub the acetone on it, it gets a little cloudy, and you can see that it's drying it out, and that's part of the reason that I use it, because I know that it's working. So I'm only going to start with this hand, that way that my other hand doesn't get oily. Then before I start this hand, I'll re-clean it with acetone. So each of our nail shields, today I'm using Icy Polka, which was a Black Friday special, which, sorry, means you can't get it anymore, but it's really pretty. And we have plenty of other polka dots in our dotted line section. But each of our nail shields is on a clear backing, which allows you to match up your nail with the most likely shield. So what I like to suggest to my customers is that you take your shield and you wrap it around and you look at it. See, the largest shield touches my cuticles on either side of my nail, so I won't be using it. And from experience, I know that I use the second largest shield on my nail. Now, this is where using customization techniques really comes in handy. I'm going to lift up the shield just a touch with my tweezers. Now, the second most important thing that we should know with our jam cures is to try to never touch part of the adhesive that's going to go on your nail. If you touch it, the oils from your fingers can get onto that adhesive and make them not stick as well. So what I was talking about with customization is my thumbnails have flat bottoms on their cuticles. So what I do is I go across the bottom of my thumb shields and I just trim off this little tiny sliver. It makes it a little more flat, and so I'm going to hold it up and hope that you can see the difference. So here's my trimmed side and here's my like standard side, and you can see how it's just a little less curvy than that. I found that it looks a lot more like it's shorter, like it's grown out a lot more if I don't do this, and I really like them to go flush with my nails. So what I'm going to do next, and I love designs that have lines or dots on them because I can measure them up, I'm going to hold my shield up to my thumb, and what I do is I hold it flush with my cuticle and I bend it down, and I can see that it goes to this line of dots right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift it up with my right hand on the tweezers, because I haven't quite figured out how to use my left hand ever, and I'm going to hold it up with an orange stick. Just going to stick it right to the orange stick like this with my left hand, and then I'm going to trim it right above the line that I saw, so to give it a little extra area, and that extra area is going to be really important later. So I'm left with half of a nail shield. So I always use my heater because it's silent and because I can do this. I can put my nail shield directly on the heater, and if you watch as it goes, you can see how flexible it becomes as soon as the heat hits it. And I like to just let it sit there. When I use a hairdryer or a flat iron, I often have the issue that my fingers are getting too hot, or any number of whiny little things that I don't want to hold on to it. So now it's pretty darn hot now. So I'm going to lift it off again with my orange stick. Now, because I gave it extra room, I can hold the very, very tip with my fingers, because that tip is not going to touch my nail. And I'm going to lay it very gently on my nail. So what I do here, at this point, it's already on and secure, but what I like to recommend to a lot of people is that you can pull the nail shield just a little bit like this, and make sure that it's firmly attached and there are no wrinkles. A lot of people discover the first time that they use Jamberry nails that they have very curvy nails, and they sometimes get some pockets on the sides. So if you use the stretch method where you pull as hard as you can, these are flexible and stretchable, and you can actually make them fit to your nails shape. So now I've got this and it's sticking up above my nail, and what I usually do is I hold my nail toward me, but I'm going to hold it toward the camera today and see if I don't hurt myself. And I'm going to cut just right along the tip of my nail. You can leave a little more extra on if you want, but that's what I do. Now the final step is that I'm going, well, this isn't actually the final step. I'm going to show you the final step in just a second. I'm going to take my file and I'm going to file directly downward. And what's really nice about this is that, actually my index finger, I'll leave a little more extra so you can really see, is that this file is cutting off any excess that might be on my thumb. I have like this little area that really isn't attached, but I use my scissors anyway just in case there's an edge. I snip it right there, and I have a little bit that's curving up on my cuticle right here, so I'm going to use my scissors to take off that. Okay, so my last bit that I do is I hold my cuticle presser up against my heater. Now some larger heaters or some other heaters might have large enough holes to stick the cuticle presser in there, but I'm trying to heat that up, and then I just go over it with that heated tip of plastic and I press it down on my nail. Now, if you do all of this, and then for the last hurrah, this has the potential of being really, really hot, so you know, do this with caution. Take a snack-sized plastic bag, put your thumb inside it, and stretch the plastic around it, just like this. So what this is going to do is it's going to heat up, and it's going to add some more uniform heat to your nail. So I'm just going to hold it up to my heater until it gets so hot that I can't stand it, which is going to be very shortly. And that's down. Pull it up, and one more time, press down. Now all these steps are not necessary to get a great jamacure. In fact, I plan to do a bare minimum jamacure in the future, but for now this is how I get the best, longest jamacure out of my stuff. So I'm going to do one more nail, and then I'm going to turn off the camera and then finish my jamacure and come back. So I'm going to do my index finger, and though I always know what size my thumb is, I always have to recheck on my other fingers. So there that is. Now all my other fingers are actually more curvy than my thumbnail, and they all have curved cuticles, unlike my thumbnails, which makes no sense to me. I don't know. But I don't have to trim any more of the bottoms of mine. The reason I'm going to show you this one is because I will be doing the stretch method a little more fully on this one. So my index finger is this shield right here, and just like I did before, I'm going to lift it with a pair of tweezers, and I'm going to trim it a little long. And put it on my heater. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoot my heater a little further because I want you to see what it's doing. As soon as the heat hits it, you can watch the entire shield starts to curl. It becomes very malleable, very flexible, and very able to be manipulated on my fingers. And the longer I let it sit in front of that heater, the more it's going to be like that. So I'm going to set it on my heater real quick so that I can pick it back up with my orange stick, because I forgot my orange stick down there and it's not coming off. So I'm going to use the orange stick to put it on the heater so that I can pick it back up. That made sense, I promise. Okay, so on my curvier nails, what I do is I put the base of my nail shield on there, and then I stretch as hard as I can upward toward the tip of my nail. And the great thing about Jamberries is if you screw it up, you can put it right back on the heater. Okay, and we're going to pretend that didn't happen. Okay, so it's right there on my cuticle, right above my cuticle, and I'm stretching it, and that allows it to not wrinkle on the sides. So if you are putting on your jams and noticing that there's some wrinkling on the sides, try the stretch method, because that's the only thing I've been able to find that works. So there we go. And then we're going to trim the nail shield. Okay, so I promised that I was going to leave a little more excess this time, and I did a little. I'm really bad at leaving excess, but it's above the edge. So I'm going to do my shrink wrapping before I file it, because that usually helps, and I forgot about the shrink wrap the last time. So again, I'm holding this in front of my heater until I can't handle it anymore. You can actually feel the heat through your nail when you do this, and it's really hot. And then press that down. So if you do heat your nail that much, your shield that much before you file it, I would recommend letting it cool all the way down. In fact, most of the time I would put another shield on and come back to this when it's cold. But because I'm doing this for a demonstration, I'm just going to talk until it cools down. Okay, so it's pretty cool. And I'm going to take the rough side of my file, and I'm going to file downward. Now, if you can see right here, that little line is excess nail shield that's just coming right off with the touch of the file, and I can just pull it off just like that, and it's done. Now what I always tell people is, right now this nail is done. You can go do anything with this nail except maybe don't thrust it into hot water immediately. I have had an incident where I did my nails right before a job interview, and then I ran and took a shower and ended up with nail shields all down my arm. So I do recommend that, if you're going to do your nails with Jamberry, try to do wet things for the first couple of hours. But other than that, you can do pretty much anything. I have a great picture of my daughter somewhere where she's playing on the iPad with her finished fingers, and I'm doing her fingers on the other hand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the camera, and I'm going to finish my manicure, and then I will be right back. So here I am 20 minutes later, maybe 25. Since I've got a lot of new techniques that I'm using, it takes me a little longer, but 25 minutes is still not bad. My nails are completely done, thumbs included, and all are trimmed and filed and ready. There are a couple of things that I forgot to mention earlier that occurred to me while I was putting these on. The purpose of the buffing block is that if you feel like your nails aren't sticking well enough, you can always rough up your nails a little bit with the buffing block. I don't have the best nails, they're kind of porous, so I don't really have to worry about it. But if you have super strong nails, I would recommend using the buffing block really lightly, just to increase the surface area of your nail. The second thing, and this is something I would only mention afterward, is that if you notice that your nails are lifting at the ends at the very early in your manicure, something I've seen recommended online is that you can take a little bit of brush on nail glue and brush it along the ends of your nails just like that, just to kind of seal the shield in place. I personally don't have this problem, but I do have a friend that works in a warehouse that says she has a little bit of lifting at the ends, but she still says it's better than nail polish. So those are the only two things I left out. My next video will be a removal video showing you how to take these off with a different manicure, and then we're going to get into some more specifics about customizing your Jamberry and learning how to combine multiple shields and make any design you want. So for now, this is Jennifer Forbes of Forbes Fabulous Fingers signing off, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.